Hey guys, it's TF now. Welcome back to the channel, and for today's special Halloween review, we're going to be doing a review of the NECA Halloween 2 Ultimate Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis 2-pack, which finally glad I got this 2-pack. I'm a little annoyed I had to buy another Halloween 2 Michael. I got the previous one a few years ago. Kind of wish that we knew we were going to get this, and then I would have not bought that one and just got this. But I am glad to have it nonetheless, especially because of the Dr. Loomis figure. I got this from the online retailer Toyshnip because some of the stores near me used to have it, and it's been gone for the past couple months. And with a promo code, I paid just about as much with Toyshnip that I would, at a Target. So I see that as an absolute win. This is a really nice box here. You've been looking at it the front here for a while. It does say Ultimate Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis, as well as the 40 years sticker right there since this came out last year. It's very much reminiscent of the original posters for that too. So on this side, it does say Halloween 2, the nightmare isn't over, and then NECA and Real Toys right there. It's going to be the same on this side as well. And then on top, it just says Halloween 2, but it also has ages 17 and up, as well as warning choking hazard. When we look on the bottom here, you can see the credits on the left of everyone who worked on this product, as well as Slasher Design Company, a bunch of other stuff here. And then I'm going to zoom in real quick. If you do want to screenshot this, if you need the barcode, there you go. You can also see where it says NECA and Real Toys. We look on the back here, really nice, kind of a collage of different images of both of the figures together, looking really nice. A read-up of Halloween 2, of what that movie's about, as well as all the accessories that they list here that this this set comes with. So we open up the Velcro attached flap here. You can see both figures right there. There's different stuff you can do with them, and then both figures in the box with all their accessories. Let's go ahead and get this 2-pack out. So here are both figures out of the packaging. This is a pretty nice 2-pack. There's actually some differences here between this Michael and the previous one that I do think it justifies buying this figure pretty much all over again. And if I really wanted to, I could just use the previous one as Ben Tramer. With Loomis, though, that figure is really sick. Really digging that. So what we're going to do first is look at Michael's accessories and then look at that figure. Then we'll look at Loomis. So the first thing I want to talk about is the pumpkin skull head here. This is actually really nice. This is actually from a lot of the promotional material from the film. It's much different, of course, compared to the previous Michael pumpkin we got, from Halloween 2, where this from the credits and it opens up, it has a skull there. The skull on here is really cool looking because of the yellowish paint going on in there, as well as like the black in some of these areas, like the eye socket, the nose, and the mouth. You can see a little bit of orange under the roof of the mouth there. Teeth look really sick. You also have these nice cheekbones sculpted in there, all in like the eyebrows too. Very cool looking. The orange on here looking really cool as well. A little bit of like a black or gray paint in some of these lines and some of the cracks on the orange there. All that looks really great. Great paint variation. A little bit of a distracting seam line right here. It's not too bad. The stem right here is a little, it could be a little better because there's a lot of orange bleeding in there. But this still looks rather nice. This really isn't that big of a deal to me. Let's take a look at this head. This is the head he comes with, the bloody-eyed face that he comes with, and this is different from the previous one here on the left. So the overall sculpt, as you can see, is wider on the new one on the right, and then look at the lips too, the top lip. It's definitely a different shape compared to the previous one. So yeah, it's not just reusing the exact same heads. I guess that they decided, I don't know if at one point he looked like this, and then with a different stunt guy, I guess he looked like this. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not just the same sculpt over and over again. I was rewatching some scenes because I don't remember this movie too well, and it does look pretty accurate. So that's cool. We have the nice mark on the neck right there. A lot of that white paint is bleeding off of this skin tone here. Kind of like, this was a William Shatner mask, so it kind of makes sense if it was bleeding off here, if it was painted white, of course. But the white paint around the face here looking really nice. The blood in the eyes looking really good too. Nice streak going all the way down there. And actually, no, the streak is similar. Not the exact same, of course, but it's just similar type of streaks that they did here. A little bit of like a the tiny bit of black or gray in like the eyebrows and like the forehead too. And then you could see a little bit less of like this grayish brown here, and this lighter brown is used more on the one on the right. So that's still, all of that is really sick looking. Other than that, it's pretty much the same when it comes to these accessories as the previous one. This knife here, nice serrated blade, as well as the silver paint on there, and this light brown handle with looks like a little bit of a silver splotch that shouldn't be there. Pretty sure. If it's supposed to be there, then you know I'm wrong, but still looking rather nice. We also have the syringe, which is pretty fragile. Be careful. I did break my previous one, so it's nice to have a new one. And I think I actually ended up losing it. So again, it's nice to have a new one here because I have the syringe back. A little bit of a black lines throughout here. Nice clear translucent plastic with a little bit of white in here to make it look like there's some fluid. Actually, I think this is empty in that scene. With a silver needle there, looking really nice. It's either this hand or the hand he comes packaged with is going to be the best for holding that. And then I think also with those hands you can use this, which is the scalpel, and that he used towards the end of the movie. It has some nice silver paint on there, pretty nicely detailed around here towards the handle, and then this blade piece. All that looks really good. He also comes with this hammer, which has actually some pretty good paint and some nice line work to make it look like wood around here in the handle. So that's really sick. And then we have this silver painted hammer, you know, the top of the hammer here. All that looks really great. The claw part looking really good. A little bit of like some dark silver in there. Yeah, that's really great. Last but not least, the different hands. We have this one, which has a very small flat grip. I think that's actually, if that's not for the knife, you can fit it for the knife. I think it also works for the scalpel. It looks like we have a glossier skin tone this time around. And the previous one that I have here, it looks like there's a little bit more, just a tiny bit of like a wash on most of those. And this is just more of like a, I wouldn't say flat, but I don't see much paint being used this time around. Just mostly molded in the skin tone, but it is pretty glossy. You can see those nice fingernails in the palms too. Here's this sprawled out open hand, which is different from the one he comes back with. I do wish we got a right one instead, but the way that looks more relaxed. This is more like he's grabbing someone. The thumb and the pinky are protruding outward more, and you can see the nice detail in the palm too. That looks really sick. We have this much wide open hand that's probably going to be used for, you know, like the hammer and other wide, you know, wide handled accessories. And then we have a left grip hand. That's a pretty nice size too. That's probably, you could use for the hammer as well. And I completely forgot to mention all the different fire effects pieces going on here. All these look really good with this nice translucent plastic. All these nice waves and lines on here. And you can tell, you know, just by looking at some of this is for the chest. Darker orange mixed in with lighter orange and a little bit of yellowish in there too. That's what it looks like on the inside. It's just mostly the translucent plastic showing up. This is going to be a piece, actually. You can see that those indents, just the way that the mouth looks, that is for the face. That is really cool too. And then you have this part that goes onto the arm. And then you have these parts that go, and they clip onto the legs. I think the way that the you know, fire is sticking out and all this is probably for the right. This is probably for the left. They probably indicate on here too, if I can't see it right now, where the left and right would be. Let me pop all this on him really quick. And here's all the flame pieces on him, which of course in that scene when he's on fire, he's going to be completely covered head to toe in fire. So, you know, some parts being a little bit exposed is a little bit weird looking here, but with what they were able to accomplish, all these fire effects on here are really nice. You do have to pop the head off first to put on the chest piece though, so just be aware of that. Okay, so here is the head that Michael comes packaged with right there. Similar to that head I was talking about where some of the skin is starting to bleed off here, it's about the same here too. I'm talking about the white paint, not necessarily the skin tone. And then you have that nice red mark right there. The overall sculpting here, where like they have some like a little bit of black in the cheeks to bring those out, as well as in the mouth. You can even see the eyes too, and the eyebrows look nice. The ears too, all that looks great. Okay, so let's bring out the previous one. And again, Looking close enough, you definitely can tell the difference. The biggest difference is because it's a wider head on the previous, or the new one compared to the previous one. And again, I don't know which one is exactly the most accurate. I think the one on the right is a little bit more accurate, but it could have looked different in different, multiple scenes. So there's always that. And the hair sculpts are different. It looks like it's a little bit shorter, actually, on the new one compared to the previous one. So with that out of the way, just looking at like the brown paint, it's mostly just like one tone of brown right here, and there's a little bit like some gray towards the front of the hair. But all of that sculpting looks great. You can see the seam line and the mask right there. Yeah, I'm digging that. One other thing to bring out, I can't tell also which one's accurate too, because turns out I always thought Michael's jumpsuit was blue in these movies. It's actually spruce green, at least in the original film. I think it's more accurate. I could be wrong. So I think it looks a little more accurate in the one on the left, but that could be just actually how it looks more in the first movie, and then it probably looks more like this in the second movie. Regardless, the sculpting is exactly the same. You can see certain wrinkles on the right pocket, or his right pocket, as well as some of the marks where the bullet holes are. They are the exact same sculpting, even down to the collars around the neck. Look at the right arm, you can see up here. Just this exact wrinkle. So yeah, this is the exact same body, and I don't blame them for using the exact same body too. I believe the boots are also the exact same, but much different paint. So just to show you, there's some of the back too. You can see how those wounds look there. So with that out of the way, I'll just take a look at his body real quick. If you're familiar with the one from this one from 2018, 2019, I forget exactly which year, then you know what to expect by now. So it's definitely a lot more green here with a little bit of like this black or grayish, kind of a wash, but also a little bit of dry. I wouldn't say dry brush. I do think it's more of a wash. It also looks a little bit more glossy this time around. I think there's more prominent dirt paint on the previous one to make it look less glossy compared to this one. I don't think it's bad either way though. We have some nice wrinkles all the way through on different parts of the arm, as you can see, and they even have like slight different tones of green, like a lighter green right here, and then it's a little bit darker. And then there's what this hand looks like. The index finger looks like it's sticking out a little bit there. I think I'm wrong, but it feels like we didn't get this hand in the previous one. But this figure comes with the exact same hands, as amount of hands, I should say, as the previous one. So if this isn't the same hand, then they definitely changed it. Or I could just be an idiot, and I'm wrong. I don't have those hands with me right now. Looks like I have some black scuffs right here on the palm. I think even on the index finger there too. Yeah, so that's a little weird. I'll have to see if I can get those off later. Off camera, let me see if I can pop off the head. You can see the detail on the neck right there. It's just mostly molded in one skin tone with a little bit of some creases in the neck to make it look like a realistic neck. It probably, actually, before I pop that on, this is a bit of a soft plastic, so be a little bit careful when you pop this on in case this like overlaps onto here. But this is also a soft plastic too, this collar, so I don't think you should have too many problems interchanging the heads, besides maybe the alternate head being a little bit of a tight fit. Again, great pockets and wrinkles sculpted on there. This like waist seam line around the jumpsuit looking really nice. Then the back pockets, all that looks really good too. The way this is all like a soft plastic piece here, and this goes all the way down here, and then you can see where you get back to the hard plastic legs. It's a little bit darker. It's very dark when it comes to how they did the wash right there. And there's a little bit of a lighter green on the front of the thighs too. Then we get down to the legs. You can see those nice calves, the great wrinkles in there. Very consistent when it comes to all this dirt and green paint throughout this jumpsuit. It's very consistent throughout, so it looks really good. And you rotate this and you're gonna see like a lot of different colors in different areas, and that just looks really good. It's not flat looking at all, and I really like that. Looks like it's pretty prominent dirt paint right there. I don't know if it was like that on the previous. Actually, this might be some kind of defect. If you see, maybe not defect, but like a paint splotch, definitely. There you could see, it's or at some point he got dirty and like the side of his leg got even dirtier. There's not that much dirt on the previous one right here compared to this. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you see where my finger is, it's like very dark here, and then it goes into green. Okay, so talking about the boots, these look really good. I like the previous boots, but I do think that the fact that we have a little bit more variation of paint, like the brown paint in there, and actual like silver around the laces, I think that these newer boots over here are a little bit better. Nice treading on the bottom of the feet right there. And all these different details like the stitching and the sole of the feet, all that looks really good. Pretty nice brown paint applied onto this too. So yeah, it looked good before, you know, a few years ago, and it still looks good now, just with some slight differences. Michael's articulation, it was pretty good a couple of years ago with that previous figure, and it's still pretty good here. The head articulation isn't the greatest, but we do get a little bit of a pivot there. Head could go up a little higher, and down could be better. The swivel is pretty decent though. Arms go all the way around. The in and out's not amazing, but we do have a double jointed elbow. It swivels up here at this part, and then we actually have a separate swivel here. I thought there was like a rotation built in here, so you can like push this that way and then move it around a little bit. I think it's stuck like this, so it mostly wants to go up and down, so you can do just mostly stabbing motion poses, which even then, like that articulation, that's not great, unfortunately. Yeah, the whole soft plastic waist piece, you can maybe crunch forward just a little bit. Yeah, that's about it. Maybe a little bit of swiveling, but yeah, this restricts articulation, unfortunately. Legs go forward like that because of this soft plastic piece. They can go back actually pretty decently too. The splits are perfect. Upper thigh swivels a little bit tight, but still works. Single joint knee could be better. And then we have a swivel at that knee, swivel here, and then up and down is a little bit tight, but not too bad on my figure. Then ankle rockers. So here is Loomis's revolver, looking really nice. I really like all the dark like gunmetal material going on here in the barrel and the cylinder and all that. It looks really good, so I'm really digging that. It's very nice metallic in here. The hammer, trigger, again, cylinder, and even like the barrel, all the detailing there looks really good. And then we get down to the handle. This side here doesn't have much detail on this part of the handle, but it does here, and there's a little bit of a wash in there too, so that's a little weird. But on both sides you have this nice like gold or bronze button right there. There's a little bit of a wash on the back here. There's a little bit of like some shading up in there too, and that's what the bottom of that looks like. So very nice revolver. We have two revolvers. So I'm wondering, like, originally, before getting this, it's like, why do we have two of the exact same revolver? This is a different one, of course. So look at the barrels. You can definitely see the difference there. But they're very, I mean, very similar looking. This is the one that Lori uses to shoot Michael in the face. And Loomis did hold this for a quick second to give to Lori. So I guess that's why they gave it. I wish we had a Lori by now for the Ultimate line for Halloween 2. But this one here, too, very similar in approach to this one, where it... the gunmetal looks great. There's even a little tiny bit of a hole in the barrel, and the actual detailing on the handle is better, I think, than the one that I have. So that's really sick. And guess what? If you don't want to give this to Loomis, you can give this to another NECA figure that uses guns. So that's pretty sick. Here is the hand with the lighter. The biggest problem is there's a lot of yellow splotched onto the lighter, or the finger, I should see, from the lighter onto the finger. That's a little bad looking, unfortunately. There's even a little bit of some specks. I was able to scratch that up though, so that's fine. It's even on the thumb too, so that's a little disappointing, all that dirty paint. But what I do like is the the flame piece here, which has a little bit of yellow and orange on there, and the silver in there is good too. The rest of this is just molded in the skin tone here. The like actual creases in the palm and the fingernails, all that looks really good though. And then like even on the back with like those tendons or whatever these are supposed to be called, with the veins and all that. So that's sick. Last but not least, and in a minute I will show off what this figure looks like without the trench coat. Probably in the detail section of the Loomis figure. These arms are separate because you could take the coat off and you could pop these on. He doesn't have the coat anymore. I did not realize, I guess his suit was either dirty or it's the actual patterning. Look at all these like paint specks on here. But this is how it's supposed to be. I've seen this on a lot of other people's figures, so I can't knock a NECA if it's accurate. There's a little bit of like dark, it's molded in dark brown, and they have like one coat of paint, and then they have some light brown, as you see on the wrinkles there. So that looks good. In like the cuffs, they have the white there. A little distracting seeing the R and the L, but this will help you indicate which one's going in where. But even, actually, they should have just stuck it with this, because there's L's and R's on here too. So they shouldn't have put it on here now that I'm thinking about it. But there's a nice seam line going down here, like the buttons on the cuffs too. So these look sick. And again, I'll show off a little bit later what these look like in the figure. So with a side-by-side image of Donald Pleasance with the figure here, I think that NECA did an incredible job. I think there might be a little bit of face printing in here, maybe in the eyes, but most of the sculpting in here, that is absolutely incredible how they were able to capture his likeness. That is so sick. So looking at this head sculpt here, really, really good overall. They did a really good job with like subtle details like wrinkles and like the forehead scrunches. I think the way that the eyebrows are molded, I think they might be just ever so tiny, like just ever so tiny bit off center, but you can't really tell that much. The eyes look great with the pupils and the sculpting. The crow's feet, that looks great too. I think there might be just a tiny bit of a wash in the wrinkles near the nose and the cheeks. And if not, then, I mean, it still looks good. And then they did a really good job not only sculpting all these different hairs on his facial hair, but the paint to make it look like it's a little bit white and more grayed out is really nice too. Same thing with the hair, you know, the back of the head. All that looks good too with the nice white paint. The overall sculpt there is too, and then you have the bald head. I think I have a tiny scuff right there, like on the forehead. But again, the forehead scrunches, all of that. There's even some veins, and the ears are really nicely detailed. That's incredible. So here is what I think I'm going to do this first. Let's take a look at the trench coat, then we'll actually look at the suit, because this is a really nice trench coat with a nice like one coat of this beige paint going on here. It's a soft plastic up here. This whole thing is a soft plastic, and the collar all the way going around. Some nice wrinkles and lines, and a little bit of stitching in some areas of the collar. Some buttons too, and like the collar pieces right here on these flaps. They have some nice stitching. Good paint variation where you can see well, I mean, this is different, that's different, that's really what I mean, but they're able to differentiate this enough to where you can tell that's a button, and they have some pretty good sculpting in there too. It's a little bit muddy on this one. It's not too bad though. Nice pockets. That looks great. Nice, again, more stitching, lots of great wrinkles. I think maybe a little bit of shading would help too, but it still looks really good. There's a little bit of shading actually up here towards the pocket, so that's not too bad. And then down here on the seam line, the arm, this little flap with the button on there, the white undershirt. Yeah, that looks sick. There's that seam line too. The inside the arms, they got seam lines. So yeah, this is a fantastic looking coat, and there's like this design that goes all the way diagonally, I think. Actually, that might be something with the I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the coat or if there's something weird with the molding that they did here. Here's another seam line. All that looks great, and a little bit of this open flap here. Okay, so I really hope I don't have to heat these up, but I'm going to try to pop off these arms and put the other ones on. Okay, so the arms are popped in here, and actually it was pretty easy to pop these on and pop these off. I did pop these arms here off earlier too, and so all of that, this works really well, and this interchangeability and all that, if that's even a word, all that works well. I still would be careful with these, you know, even though these are pretty thick, there is a tendency that maybe they could, you know, break. While I love NECA figures, I still can admit that some other people, and sometimes me as well, they just have problems with the quality of the joints. So that's something I'd like to mention. But this actual coat here is really good looking. We talked about it earlier with these arms, but the way that the wrinkles are done here with a little bit of like lighter brown accents here, similar here, and it's very consistent because of the dark brown that they're using and all this, the plastic that's molded into, the color of the plastic I should say, looking really nice. Now, this is not really a complaint, it's just I didn't really expect this, and it's throwing me off a little bit. I mentioned this a little earlier, but we see all these specs on the suit here, right? I didn't really expect that to be in the design of the suit. It's like they took whatever paint they were using for this on a paintbrush and started flicking it a little bit on here. If it's accurate, then hey, that's how it's supposed to be. I can't knock NECA for it. And again, it's not really a bad thing. I just wasn't really entirely expecting it to look like that. It's something I thought I would mention though. The pockets right here on the front, on the coat, or the jacket I should say, look really nice. All these nice lines and the hole for the button, that's great too. Even a little bit of dirt on the white undershirt, and this whole piece here. Actually, I thought this would pull out a little bit more, but this looks like it's pretty much glued in there, like almost molded in there, the way that tie's done. But the tie has some nice paint. I think there's a little bit of a brown splotch on there that maybe shouldn't be there. You could pass it up as dirt with him running around and all that. And the white, it's just mostly a flat toned white. You can see this is a soft plastic piece, and you can kind of see that undershirt a little bit there. What else is there? I forgot to mention the back. There's some nice wrinkles towards the back there on the spine. This nice seam line going all the way down. You have that nice slight detailing of like a seam line on the collar here as well. Then we get down to the pants. I don't know why, but the crotch has a little too bright of a brown right there for some reason. But again, the specs on here consistent on the crotch piece. So let's see, this is soft plastic. I think the crotch piece is soft plastic too, so that way it shouldn't get in the way of too much articulation. And then I want to say, I feel like the white shirt could also be maybe a soft plastic, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm just being tricked for some reason right now. It's actually a harder plastic. Lots of nice wrinkles around the legs and the knees, and there's nice seam lines that go down here. Very good looking. I don't think this has been reused. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they would reuse like the casts from certain characters for like, I think like Freddy and Ash from like a little over 5 years ago, they would reuse the legs. I don't think there's any reuse here, and I didn't really mind it back then. These look like brand new. They do that, and they make a lot of their stuff brand new too, so that was just something I wanted to mention. The way that these are sculpted is a little, just a little bit weird how there's like that angle right there, but it's still not too bad looking. And then we have all the wrinkles down towards the cuffs of the pants. The boots, the shoes I should say, they look really good with those nice black laces, a little bit of brown variation going on in there, like light and dark brown. You can see a little bit of like this brown here. I guess that's supposed to be his, well, I wish it would actually, I don't know what his socks would look like, but it just kind of looks like a plain, like brown mold. So maybe, I don't know, actual detailing for a sock would have been nice. And then we do have these nice seams and stitching around the soles. The heels, all that looks really good. And then that's what the bottom of the feet look like. There's not much going on there. Now, Loomis's articulation is slightly less than the Michael figure, but we do have pretty good pivot here. It's in a ball peg, like a dumbbell joint at the head, so it goes up and down. Could be better, but the swiveling, there's no problem there. And then again, that pivot's really good. Arms go all the way around here, and the in and out is better than Michael's, so that's cool. Single joint elbow actually gets a little over 90. Just to bend this one, let's see. That's right at 90. Swivel at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist. And this is going to be for every hand on this guy. We do actually have, I think, going in here, there's a separate ball joint in here, like around this section, and then at the waist too. So it can move forward a little bit, and you know, in theory, it could swivel up here, and then you get this tilt, but then all the swiveling around here, you may want to grab that actual stomach. That's about, you know, what you can get with that. It's pretty decent, but some of the sculpt and the molded parts, they just want to shift around a little bit. Like something's sticking out here that shouldn't be sticking out right now, so I'm gonna have to fix that a little later. Legs, wow, that's not amazing, unfortunately. He's not gonna be the most agile because of his age, but still. Back, not that amazing either. Splits are pretty decent, actually. Upper thigh swivels, wow, pretty tight. So the pretty tight joints on this guy. Single joint knee actually gets about 90, and then we do have a swivel here, swivel at the actual ankle, which is awesome. Oh man, the up and down could be better. And then we do have ankle rockers. Quick size comparisons. I just wanted to see what Loomis looks like next to a normal NECA sized, like human type character, like the first ever Evil Dead movie, Ash over on the right. As you can see, Michael is very tall compared to both of them. I don't know how accurate the sizing is between Donald Pleasance and this version of Bruce Campbell. unfortunately. But over on the far left, you can see that both of them are going to be taller than Marvel Legends, and then over on the far right, they're going to be taller than a Star Wars The Black Series figure. Overall, I'm really digging this set. Even though I had to buy another Halloween 2 Michael here, I think it's actually different enough to warrant the new purchase here. The previous one was good, but it is good that we have some minor differences to differentiate both of them. It was overall a really nice figure before, and it still is, with really nice articulation. It's a little bit hindered in some areas, but all the different accessories that he comes with and the flame effects, all that is really sick this time around. The Loomis figure is really sick with the interchangeable coat feature, and that likeness to Donald Pleasance is incredible. Absolutely love it. They've done an incredible job capturing him here. All the subtle details of like lighter brown on the darker brown areas, on the wrinkles and all that. Just really great paint variation on here too. Even though the specs on here are a little bit, weird to me. If it's accurate, then it's accurate. That's just something I wanted to mention overall. This is an awesome set, perfect for anyone who loves horror movies and gets horror collectibles. And if you didn't get the previous Michael, I do think it's fine if you just go ahead and buy this one here to get, kill two birds with one stone. You didn't have to buy the previous one, and now you get the Michael figure and the Loomis figure, which both are incredible figures. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figures, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and happy Halloween.